Hello everybody, in this video I'm gonna illustrate to you how certain TV sizes look like from a short distance. By that I mean from 5.5 feet, around 167 and 170 centimeters away from your eyes to the display. So if you decide to put your TV in a tight space like I do and turn it into maybe a little gaming room like that, or maybe a very tight living room, this is for you. Now, from what I've read, I thought about maybe 50 to 55 inch would be fine for me, but again, I didn't really know. It was so confusing and hard to understand. So what you see here is 43-inch display, again, kind of a more equivalent, more or less, I try my best to put based on some dimensions, at least when it comes to width, that I've seen for some of the Samsung HDTV 4K displays. So one thing I can tell you is that when you turn off the lights, the size of the screen feels larger, everything becomes more immersive, and this is quite significant. I didn't expect that. 43-inch felt, well, it was good for this distance, so you can actually see more of the screen rather than your head doesn't really need to move from, left to right, or your eyes are not playing a lot because it's relatively small compared to the distance that I'm actually watching it. Keep in mind that if you can't move further back, this might be an issue for you if you take a larger display. Sometimes, you can easily move closer with your couch, like I can, closer to this screen if you want to get, a larger view. But if you can go back, might be a limitation. For example, if I don't feel comfortable playing on a 55-inch display, I won't be able to go back, and this might pose a problem. So again, might take a smaller display and get closer to the screen rather than being stuck not able to do so, which will of course impair my experience. Then I turned to 50-inch. This was quite significant. First of all, it felt much more immersive. I really felt the difference, and I really liked that. And it felt kind of good balance. Again, for the distance, for the around 5.5 feet that I actually was sitting in, from the eyes to the screen, it felt good. It felt good because I felt more immersed with the game, especially when I turn off the lights. But the thing is that sometimes my eyes need to get some information on different UI elements. For some games it might be, a bit annoying, but for others not. In this case, I didn't really care. In open world games like Power World, just focusing on the center of the screen in most part, so it felt good. Again, it's kind of a good balance when it comes to immersion and still comfort. So I felt that 50-inch might be like the perfect one for this distance. So overall, 50-inch felt actually like a very good kind of a sweet spot for me when it comes to immersion and comfort. I can always get closer to it if I like to, but it felt like a very good place to be when it comes to immersion and comfort. And you can see here when I turn off the lights, it felt much more immersive. It felt bigger. You need to try it yourself. So this is actually an important point because again, you need to, if you really want this higher immersion, at least that's how it was for me, to get a display that will work well in dim light. Higher contrast display, maybe panel, maybe getting OLED, because it just felt so much better. So I know I'm going to play games in a dark environment because it just felt so much better compared to in a lit environment. Alright, moving on to 55. Alright, this is where I actually thought myself, how would it be? It's going to be a huge difference. Again, when you move up, it's going to be higher immersion. I really like the immersion bump between 50 and 55. Again, it's not a huge difference, but you feel it. But again, it just felt a bit too much when it comes to, my eyes kind of playing around, trying to get some information. Of course, in this game, it wasn't really particularly important, but I just forced myself to kind of look for the information on the side of the screen, and I felt that, maybe it's a bit too much. If I want to get back, I can't. So it felt a bit problematic, but still very much playable and fun. And turning off the lights, again, make it feel bigger and more immersive. And again, then I knew that, well, this is going to be a joy to use 55. But the problem for me, I can't go further back. So I know for some games, it might be problematic. So again, this is where the place I felt that 55 might be a bit too much and limit me. But again, if I get a 50, at least I can get closer. But 55, I can't get back. So it might be limiting. Now, this is probably people's most favorite size, and this is the 65, which looked huge when I went to the store and actually checked it out. As you can see, it takes almost the entire space of the cabinet, and this is huge. This is definitely a huge size. Immersion is insane, top-notch immersion, but you feel that again for some games it's just going to be too much. Definitely for some games it's going to be totally playable and fun, but because it's so game dependent and again depend on the content you consume, I knew that it won't be good for some games and for others might be perfect. But if I had to play a first-person shooter where I need to always get a quick understanding of what's happening in the entire screen, it might be problematic, because even your eye traveling to another part will take, a moment. This can be the difference between just in a game dying or staying alive. Now when I turn off the lights, it felt like I'm inside the game. It's like close to virtual reality. I was there moving. Again, it felt like I'm inside the game, and this is so much fun. Some people just can't stand just looking at something in stamp size, something small, because they're not immersed in the game. They want to feel like they're inside the game. So 65, even at the distance, felt amazingly well when it comes to that. And when I moved to 75, of course, the bigger you get, the more immersive the screen feels like. And again, just feel better overall, and it's amazing to actually see that I can still enjoy playing a game like Power World here. It doesn't matter which size I get. I mean, it's not like I'm really having trouble seeing things because the focus is more the center, so everything still was pretty much very, very playable. This is something I didn't expect. I thought that when I'm going to go over 65, which is going to be totally unplayable. I was wrong. So if you check on Reddit and people say, well, I'm in front of my 75 and I'm just watching it from, let's say, 6 feet away, well, you probably can understand that because it is playable, especially if you're, again, playing certain games, specific games that you enjoy, and maybe just games. You're going to find that some people have no problem watching and playing games, watching movies, playing games from this particular distance, because it is playable. For some, might be not comfortable, for certain games not, but definitely, particularly playing Power World here, it felt no problem. I mean, I didn't have any problem enjoying the game like that, seriously. Again, moving to 85, well, this was still playable, believe it or not, but again, I felt that even that is just a bit too much watching it at this distance. So one thing for sure, I know that I'm never gonna get for this distance 85 inch, but again, also the other ones were a bit too much. So for what I found is that 50 inch is probably a good choice, again for me, based on my experience, based on the games that I enjoy playing, and understanding that I can get closer but can't get further back. Alright, let's go quickly. This is a 43 inch, look how tiny it looks like. Once you, by the way, switch between them and even just enlarge and resize it, you tell to yourself, well, I can actually play, this is too small, because you so get used to the immersion of a bigger size display. So I can definitely understand why people sometimes get a display and just feel they get used to it and feel that they just need something more. Definitely understand why. And this is the 50-inch display. This is the one that I probably gonna get based on my experience. Just it seems like the best choice for this distance. And this is the 55. Felt again really good, but again, if I want to go back, I can, maybe for some games, but overall felt good. So definitely this is a good option to have if you really don't mind that, for some games, your head might look a bit to the left, to the right, some trouble with the eyes, but overall it's a good choice as well. That's how it felt like. 65, amazingly immersive, but again, already felt a bit too much for certain games. I know that for some games it might be not a good choice, and I can go back again too. Can always get closer, but can go back. So yeah, it felt lacking when it comes to viewing comfort. And again, if it's in open world games, in other games might be more prominent. Alright, and this is the 75 inch, again, really big, super immersive, but already, of course, I knew that this is way too much for me, but still felt playable, especially playing Power World, for example, felt really good. And lastly, the 85. So again, let me know in the comment section below what your thoughts about, playing in a short distance in certain display that I've shown here with those sizes, how you feel like about them, whether you feel it's problematic, whether you don't mind even playing on 75 in such a 5.5 feet distance. Tell me your setup and how you feel about it in the comment section below. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you in the next video. Cheers.